Good morning. This is Dwayne, and today I'd like to talk about suspensions. There's several kinds of suspensions, but the one we're going to talk about today and what musicians generally refer to as suspensions is where the fourth in a chord takes the place of the third. For example, here's the F chord. So if I had a suspension, this is the third, I use a fourth instead. So that's an F suspension, okay? Now suspensions are usually combined with seventh chords. So you usually have an F seventh, a sus would be like that. So if you saw that notation F sus, that would be what it means. Don't play the third, but play the fourth in place of the third, and then the seventh. You can play the fifth too, of course. And quite often you can harmonize that fourth by putting the second under it. Then you have a kind of a complex chord, like that, kind of complex chord. Suspensions are wonderful animals because you can use them not only by themselves but also to resolve to the seventh chord. Okay, let me give you an example. Let's say you're playing Misty. That's a major seventh. That's a suspension right there. You see, the chord is C seventh, but I'm using F instead of the E here, and I'm harmonizing with the D. Okay, let's take it that far. Now I resolve it there. That's a suspension resolution. You see, I had the fourth, but I moved to the third. Once more. That was sloppy. You see that? Okay, so it's simply where the fourth takes the place of the third. Sometimes you can use it right at the beginning of a song, like here. This is a song called "Here's That Rainy Day," and it starts like this. There's a suspension right there. I'm playing a C seventh, but I'm using a fourth instead of the third. And to make it sound even fuller, I just use G as a low note. So in essence, it's a G minor seventh, and then you resolve it to C seventh before you go on. Okay? How about in a hymn? Let's take What a Friend We Have in Jesus. If we're in the key of F, how would we make a suspension there? That's right. Replace the third with the fourth, harmonize it with the second, and you could add a seventh. So we could start What a Friend We Have in Jesus like this. That's a suspension resolution. See, that's a C7th chord, but I'm playing the fourth instead of the third and harmonizing it with the second there, or the ninth. And then I resolve it. That's another suspension. Or we could end it with it. Everything to God in prayer. That's a suspension because the fourth's taking the place of the third, and then I resolve it. So it's kind of like an amen cadence, a plagal cadence, but it's not a full plagal cadence. It just is a suspension resolving to the third. Okay, so that's really all you need to know about suspensions. You just need to find places to use them. Anytime you have a dominant seventh chord, then you can probably use a suspension. It depends on the melody, of course, but most of the time you can do it. So let's play through some chords and figure out what the suspensions are. For a C chord, that would be a suspension. For a C seventh chord, that would be a C seventh suspension. And remember, you can harmonize it if you want, okay? How about F? For F, a suspension is taking the fourth takes place of the third, harmonize it, add the 7th if you want. Like what we did on What a Friend with Jesus. How about G? There's G. 4th takes the place of the 3rd. Harmonize it. Add the 7th. How about D flat, say? We add the 4th, replace the 3rd with the 4th, and we can harmonize it with that and add the 7th if we want to, okay? How about E flat? E flat, suspension, 7th. See, that's not hard, is it? A flat, suspension, harmonize, 7th. Okay? So, you can work your way through the 12 chords like that. I won't bore you by working those through, but it's a very useful tool because it adds an extra chord to your sequence. In other words, instead of going right to the dominant 7th chord, you go to the suspension first and then resolve it. Okay, that's it for today. So I hope you enjoyed this little mini lesson, piano tips. If you like this sort of thing, come on over to playpiano.com and sign up for our free newsletter of piano tips, and you get something like this most every day. So thanks, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye for now.